Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're looking at Sheila Pearl Lewis. She was 33 years old of Yakama. It says her body was found August 3rd, 1980 near Parker Dam, south of Union Gap. It says that she died of massive internal injuries, possibly as a result of being hit by a car or truck. It doesn't say she was hit by a car or truck. It just says that it was possibly from that. She had been living in Yakima and worked for the State Department of Social and Health Services. So, and that's just another unsolved case. And if you have any information on that, you should contact authorities and let them know. If you feel like it's hearsay, then you understand that hearsay, you can't go to court. When you go to court, if you're testifying, they'll say it's hearsay. But if you're giving the investigators information that they need to solve a case, then it's different. You're just trying to let them know the information that you have. So anyway, and then I'm going to try to scroll through this list one more time. I don't know if I can. Because I was only going up to 2000 right now, and now I think I'm going up to 2002 or something like that. So I've added some more in here and there that are a little further, because I have my list that I'm doing one by one, and this is a different list, so with different years. So, but it blinks out because there's so many ads that it'll blink and refresh and take me somewhere else without me refreshing it, and it kind of annoys me. I love this right here. I love this because it's got this map with the little, and you can zoom in and zoom out on the map so that you can see them. So it shows where the people were found, which is really cool. And then they have their list. They have Benita Long, and you can pause it and read it. And I will just skim through it. Benita Long, age 40, 2022. Okay, Frida Jane knows his gun. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Age 34. Rosalita Rose Longy, age 18. Roberta Birdie Jean Rains. Eleanor Trujillo, age 37. Daisy Mae Heath, age 29. Karen Louise John Lee Wallahy, age 29. Janice Marie Hannigan, age 16. Echo K. Littlewolf, age 31. Skeletal remains found in late 2008. Alice Ida Looney, age 38. Teresa R. Stahey, age 25. That was 1987. Sarah D. Winier, age 24, 1985. Celestine Spencer, age 21, 1982. Lazora Yvette Eli, age 19. Sheila Pearl Lewis, age 33, that's 1980. Anita Lucia, I don't know how to pronounce that. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing any of these names wrong. Age 15, that's 2022. Tiana Lee Rain Cloud, age 20. And I believe she was reported missing a while back too. Angela Marie Heath, age 41. Rosenda Strong, age 31. Destiny Louise Lloyd, age 23. Minnie Rainbow Andy, age 31. Linda Dave, age 29. Naoma Alexander George, age 33. Charmaine Sanchi, 47. Tony Marie Green, and Stephen Alvarado, age 52. Barbara Celestine, age 44. Sherry D. Simpson. Elwell, age 30. Joanne Betty Wyman John, age 44. Rosalie Lou Tootie So Happy, age 31. Skeletal Remains of Jane Doe, 1988. Jenny Marie Wilson, age 20. Babette Crystal Green, age 26. Clydell Alice Sampson, age 25. Maybe Josephine McKay, age 32. Sandra Lee Smiskin, age 45. Mona Renee Bayo, I don't know how to pronounce it, age 56. Maria Martinez, age 50. Shanta Barney, age 23. Alalia Lala Menthorn, age 25. Galteo, age 63. Catherine Inez, I don't know how to pronounce that at all. I'm not even going to try, sorry. James Dean Cloud was found guilty of that one. Felina Blanche Metzger, age 33. Agnes Whitefoot Laura, age 38. Barbara Jean Whitesell, age 19. 1990. Catherine Peel Heath. Rose Lone Warrior Rodriguez Sanchez. Wait, because, I try to get as many as I can, but sometimes I miss some of them, and that way if you're looking for a list of different ones, you'll have them, because, some people are trying to put together a list, and there's where I found that one at. Then there's the FBI list, and you can find that on there, and that has Cheryl Pearl Lewis, the one we're covering. That was number 1 on their list. And then it goes to Alice Ida Looney, and that has information on it. That way, if you're trying to create your own list, you can. And then we have this right here, and this is using the same list, but then it gives more information on the individuals from that list. It starts out with Cheryl Pearl Lewis, their number 1 that was on their list, and goes through. And it ends with Alice Ida Looney. There is more information, I believe, online, though, because I think I have more information than that on my list. Let me look real quick. Looney. Whoops. I keep typing it wrong. Yeah, she was age 38. It was 11/30/2005. Inconclusive. Toppenish was reported missing after she was last seen in Wapato. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Early morning hours, August 16th or 17th, 2004. A hunter found her body November 30th, 2005, wedged under a tree on a small island in Sadis Creek, about 12 miles southeast of Toppenish. Looney had family on the Cowlitz and Puyallup reservations, and the family wasn't interviewed, I don't believe, so they might have been interviewed by now. And then I wanted to look at this article. It's in the Chronicle, and you can find that online. It says, Deadly Ground, Yakama Reservation shaken by disturbing homicide rate. And this is since December 2021. So this is from like 7 months ago. It says, on a warm June morning, federal authorities escorted Tim Castellia, I don't know how to pronounce it, Castellia, into a courtroom where murder suspect Jordan Stevens was already sitting, flanked by 3 defense attorneys. Stevens, clad in a suit with his long hair in a single braid, was accused of killing 25-year-old Alalia Layla Minthorn in a remote area of the Yakama Reservation on May 3, 2019. Minthorn was shot in the head. Stevens was charged with first-degree murder in U.S. District Court in Yakama. Afraid Castalia didn't show up to testify, so Chief Judge Stanley Bestain had Castalia arrested, and he was forced to testify on June 9th. Castalia told jury he had received threats from people coming to his rural Brownstown Tavern nestled in the arid reservation. Castalia lived at the old two-story brick tavern called Jack's Place. It gets pretty hectic out there. It's crazy out there, he told the jury. I'm 56 years old, and I never thought I'd have to be fighting for my life. His voice was trembling at times as he told how events unfolded when Stevens and two others arrived at his tavern the day that she was killed. He said Stevens was carrying a rifle. 3 days later, after the jury convicted Stevens of first-degree murder, the tavern was leveled by fire, and Castalia was missing. Federal investigators recovered what they believed to be human remains from the charred rubble, but have yet to release further details. This isn't the only violence that's troubled the reservation so far this year. On May 23rd, Marcus Lagme, 32, was shot to death just north of Wapato. On March 30th, Tiana Lee Rain Cloud, age 20, was shot to death a few miles west of the same town. They're all cases emblematic of a lawless land serving as a safe haven for violent criminals, a place with a legal system complicated by a maze of jurisdictions and crippled by a lack of resources. In April 2016, the Yakama Nation reclaimed much criminal jurisdiction over Native Indians on the 1.3 million acre reservation in a legal maneuver called retrocession. It's part of an effort by tribes to govern themselves and make law enforcement decisions for their people. Since then, the nearly 11,000 member tribe has seen at least 41 homicides involving tribal members, whether victims or suspects. There may be no clear correlation between retrocession and the homicides on the reservation since 2016, but one thing is certain: the bodies of homicide victims have piled up. There are about 30,000 people overall living on the reservation's patchwork of tribal and non-tribal land. Yakama tribal leaders did not respond to reported interview requests. A sovereign nation, the tribe has long worked to regain self-governance in many areas, with retrocession being its most recent significant effort. The tribe's court lacks authority to prosecute felony crimes, leaving major assaults, homicides, and other serious crimes on tribal land mostly to federal authorities. In addition, dozens of indigenous I don't know why I have such trouble remembering how to pronounce that sometimes. People have disappeared on or near the Yakama reservation over the decades. That word just loses me sometimes, and then it'll come to me, and then it just loses me. Part of the long-term national crisis, some of those disappearances on the reservation were later ruled homicides. The scenario has catapulted the FBI into a new realm of murder investigations, said FBI agent Peter Orth in Yakama. Federal homicide cases, that's rare, he said. We don't have federal homicide cases very often unless you're talking about terrorism or a mass shooting situation. But one-off homicide, gang-related homicides, we don't have a lot of that in federal government until now. Since retrospection, the FBI has brought at least 9 homicide cases from the Yakama reservation to federal court, resulting in 6 convictions, with 3 pending cases that include a quintuple murder and a double murder. In addition, the FBI has at least 18 ongoing homicide investigations on the reservation, totaling 21 killings. That's not including cases other agencies are handling. The Yakama County Sheriff's Office so far has headed investigations into 4 reservation homicides since retrocession took effect, with 1 resulting in a murder conviction, another pending trial, and 2 still under investigation. And tribal police are investigating 2 apparent hit-and-run cases in which 2 teenagers were killed. In 2020, Washington state set a record with 302 homicides, according to the annual crime report by the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. That's a rate of 3.9 per 100,000 people. There were at least 12 reservation homicides in 2020 alone, a rate of about 40 per 100,000 people, more than 10 times the state's murder rate. Only counting the tribal community, the rate is alarmingly higher, 109 per 100,000 people. That's 28 times the state's murder rate, and homicides on the reservation have been more vicious, several with multiple victims, than elsewhere in Yakama County, authorities says. It's more brutal, and we don't know why, Yakama County Sheriff Bob Udell said. Brownstown double homicide. Down the road from Brownstown Tavern is where 50-year-old Maria Martinez and Chete Barney, 23, were stabbed to death in their home on April 9, 2020. The sheriff's office and Yakama Tribal Police initially responded, but the case was handed over to the FBI because the killings were on tribal land and everyone involved was Native American. Martinez's son, Edward Charles Robinson, 35, is accused of the killings and has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the U.S. District Court. Udell said the victims' agonizing deaths were captured on a video he and his deputies viewed. There was about 15 of us that watched it, and it was horrific, Udell said. It wasn't a movie. You watched this guy slaughter these 2 people. One of my detectives had tears running down his face. He walked out. Parker triple homicide. Several miles northeast in the unincorporated town of Parker, 3 people were shot to death by an enraged man on May 20, 2020. Prosecutors said Clifton Frank Peter, age 37, was furious when he backed out of his driveway on Yakama Street and struck 63-year-old Javier Luna Gonzalez vehicles. Peter shot Luna Gonzalez with a shotgun and drove off. Moments later, Peter shot and killed Omar Venegas Mora, age 31, and his 32-year-old wife, Imelda Santillán Guevara. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing that right. I know I'm not. After rear-ending their car on the same street, Peter pled guilty to 3 counts of second-degree murder in U.S. District Court in August. White Swan quintuple homicide. June 8, 2009, 5 people were killed in a shooting rampage in a rural area just west of White Swan near the Cascade foothills. Thomas Hernandez, 36, Catherine Aeneas, 49, Michelle Starnes, age 51, Dennis Overacker, age 61, and John Cagle, 59, were all shot to death at a trailer in the 5100 block of Medicine Valley Road. Udell said it was the most violent multiple homicide the county had seen in recent history. When you get to this level of viciousness, wow, that is something else. That is just way, way off the charts, Udell said, just days after the shootings. Suspects James Dean Cloud and Donovan Quinn Carter Cloud had been charged with several counts of murder, kidnapping, carjacking, and weapons violations in U.S. District Court. Investigators have been looking into others affiliated with the suspects who investigators believe are responsible for other murders and missing people on the reservation, Udell said. We get tips about places where bodies might have been dumped, and this is a rural county, Udell said. This is too much violence for a rural county. Why so much violence? Gangs and drugs are the drivers of the violence on the reservation, with most of it happening in rural areas, Udell said. Heroin, methamphetamine, and fentanyl are prevalent, and I don't know how to pronounce these. Norteño, Sireno, and Pirates gangs are active on the reservation, he said. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong. Norteño, Sireno, I don't know, and Pirates gangs. I'm sorry. Apologize. Their missions is the same. Mayhem, violence, and drugs, Udell said. You can't separate drugs and gangs. They go hand in hand. What is attractive to the gangs out there is the space and remoteness makes them feel a little safer out there, FBI agent Orth agrees. You've got to remember that White Swan, that is not a city with law enforcement presence, he said. So where do all the bad guys go? As far away as they can from Wapato Toppenish Tribal Police, the sheriff's office and the FBI. Gangs from outside the area come to the reservation where poverty is high, education and financial opportunities are scarce, and youth are impressionable. That has led to a dramatic uptick in property crime, Odell said. There's been a major complaint from people who live out there is these kids get sucked into this roaming around, breaking into cars and houses and doing all this kind of stuff, Odell said. Property crime that goes unpunished can lead to more serious crime and sometimes murder, Orr said. The phrase I use is little fires becoming big fires. I believe that, he said. Different jurisdictions aren't helping. Tribal police generally have criminal authority over all enrolled tribal members on the reservation, with serious crime often turned over to the FBI. The sheriff's office generally handles crimes involving non-natives on the reservation, but often helps the FBI with investigations. Two state-incorporated cities on the reservation, Wapato and Toppenish, each have their own police departments that face similar jurisdictional challenges. All agencies on the reservation assist one another, Udell said. If there's shots, bleeding, cries for help, all of us will go and then sort out who's going to handle it, who's taking jurisdictions. Criminals are aware of the jurisdictional hurdles, Udall added. You get non-enrolled thinking, the tribe can't do anything to me. Then you get enrolled thinking, well, the sheriff's office can't do anything to me. So that adds another layer of we can get away with it stuff out here. Lack of resources. Sprawling hop fields, orchards, and vineyards separate the rural Brownstown and the White Swan areas from the more populated communities of Wapato and Toppenish. Getting routine patrol out to those rural areas is tough at best given the staffing constraints of law enforcement agencies policing the reservation, Udell said. White Swan is a 15-minute drive from the sheriff's office in Yakama. Udell has 54 deputies to cover the 4,295 square mile country. He assigns 2 deputies to the reservation, and they often are pulled to the calls near Wapato and Toppenish. The tribe's 18 officer police force is faced with the same dilemma, Udell said. Staffing for us is so limited, it is just hard with call volumes to get out there. A Yakama Nation police substation in White Swan, established decades ago to increase the law enforcement presence there, is staffed with a worker who takes complaints and radios for assistance. There are no police officers stationed there. FBI agents only investigate major crimes. They're not a policing agency. Wow. And you can read further. I'll scroll down, but I don't want to read the rest of it because it's been 22 minutes. And now I just feel like, when you have places like that, it seems to me, well, that's the end of it. It seems to me that it would be wonderful if they created more things to do for people of different ages. Like if they went and talked to all these different people and found different things to do. Like if you remember how they used to have arcades, and they should have a lot of things for them to do. That way, different classes, different fun things for them to do. And you can go talk to them and find it out what it is that they would like to have to do and spend a lot of money and resources creating places with things for these different people to do in these different areas to keep them busy so they don't get bored, and when people get bored they start doing things and that way they have something else to do other than those types of things. And you may disagree with me, but I remember studying in college about crime and people committing crime, and there was a country, and I don't remember the name of the country, but they spent all this money that people normally spend on jails, and they normally spend on juvenile places and punishment and things like that. They spent all that money creating places and things where they had things to do, and they could go there and they didn't have to pay for the things to do, or they were so low cost that it just covered the cost so that they could, so they create things for them to do, and And they had all these ideas, and they met with them, and they discussed what they thought would be good ideas for them to have, what types of things they wanted to do. And they created all these different things. So they had all these places to go, and it was fun for them, and they liked it. And then it really cut back on their crime. I think they didn't have any juvenile crime at all. And I think that really makes a difference because, you know, a lot of people, if they're not bored, they're not drinking and doing drugs. But I could be wrong. It's just my thoughts on that. But anyway, our main thing today was to cover that one woman, and that was Sheila Pearl Lewis, age 33, of Yakama, whose body was found August 3rd, 1980, near Parker Dam. And poof, it blinked and it just disappeared. It just does that. I don't know why it does that. So I think it's because of all the ads on the page. So she had died of massive internal injuries, possibly as a result of being hit by a car truck. And that was in 1980, and I don't... But I just thought, you know, because there's a lot of... I'm only going to certain years. I thought, well, maybe I thought I found this article and I wanted to share it with you because it's an interesting article and is more recent. And the things that I'm covering aren't more recent, but I just thought, you know, you might enjoy that article as well. If not, you still have this name to add to your list of people that are, you know, missing people. We have missing people, Jane Does, and then we have people who were murdered. That way, because, you know, if some of these people are looking at it and they're doing like internet web sleuth things and they're trying to figure out who killed so-and-so and if people died similar, and that way if you can't just look at, oh, so many people are missing in the same area, and then you can't even just look at so many people are missing and there's Jane Does. You also have to see the homicides in the area as well, and take that into consideration when you're doing your little web sleuthing. And some people are trying to create lists, and maybe they want to add other ones to their list, because I did. I want to have a list of different people on the internet so that people see. Anyway, I think I'm rambling now. So thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to pray for her loved ones and her family, and don't forget to pray for the reservation as a whole, because it really sounds like there's a lot of people living there that are suffering, and I can't imagine living through that and going through that. You know, what do you do? That's got to be really hard and horrific for the authorities, for the investigators, for the children being raised there and their parents worried about them and the families there. It just sounds like a nightmare. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye-bye.